Modern playing cards are filled with layers of meaning and symbols that can be traced back centuries. The four kings, for example, are based on real rulers. The king of diamonds represents the wealthy Julius Caesar. The king of clubs is the brutal Alexander the Great. The king of spades represents the strong but kind David of Israel. And the king of hearts represents the emotionally disturbed Charles V of France. It is this king that we will be dealing with today. It should be also noticed that Charles was one of the four who was actually there to see the day of his face was printed on the playing cards, which may realize why he actually part of the others. Charles' visage was put on the King of Hearts at the very beginning of his rule, but he never got a chance to come into contact with playing cards until many years later, when he became very ill with a fever and was informed that he will be bedridden for the rest of his life. It was during the period that Charles began learning card game to pass the time, such as various versions of blackjack. Vieng Teng 21. Charles lay in bed for 2 years, constantly fiddling with the cards and always getting sicker. As time passed, there were reports that Charles had begun obsessing over the idea that the king, being the 13th card in a suit, was causing him bad luck. He talked about how he was starting to see the numbers pop up everywhere, and that he was close to figuring out the secret. Of course, his ramblings were blamed on the fever, and by the end of the second year, he had been declared insane and his son Louis XIII took over the throne. One day, several months after the end of his reign, one of Charles' physicians went to the chamber to find the frail old man standing in the middle of the room, vaguely wielding a sword. Before the doctor could react, the king said, "El montes, el 20 de tres, et el nes pes significa por verex metores," which roughly translates to, "They have shown me the truth of 13, and it's not meant for mortal eyes." Without hesitation, the king processed to ram the blade through the left side of his head, between the ears and the temple, until it came out the other side. He wavered at the moment before collapsing to the floor dead. After the incident was announced, and that it was made public that the king had gone mad, the images of Charles on the King of Hearts was altered to show his suicide. Although the picture is shown significantly less graphical, the image of Charles thrusting the sword into his skull could be still found in the modern playing cards. Perhaps the strangest part of the whole story, however, is that Charles chose to kill himself 7/6/1462. Whether it was intended on the king, the fact that 7 plus 6 equals 13, and 1 plus 4 plus 6 plus 2 equals 13 can only be an explanation as a coincidence.